Did you know that the UK is actually a leading destination for international students around the world? It's easy to see why. The UK has a reputation for being welcoming, having a multicultural society, and is home to many great universities, Derby being just one. Derby is a much-loved second home to more than 1,700 international students from over 100 countries studying at both undergraduate and postgraduate level.
Hi, mage naam is Shan.
Ndewono, aham bu Lawrence Ndupu.
Salam, मेरा नाम मोहम्मद अली है.
Bună, numele meu este Cristina.
你好，我是李乐。
Servus, mein Name ist Matthias.
Bună, numele meu este Ioana.
Hi, my name is Karen.
Cześć, mam na imię Natalia.
I came here, I didn't know anyone, no friends, didn't know what to expect.
Like the first day I was here, I sat down in the classroom and I was like, what did I get myself into? I don't understand nothing this man is saying. The accents, they all sound like Harry Potter.
I was worrying about being by myself.
I was just worried about living. I mean, you know, just like the cost of living.
And how people will welcome me, how they will react.
But here in Derby, people are so friendly. They made us feel settled in very, very fast.
After 3 years of living here, I feel like Derby is kind of like my second home. It feels like they are just from my country or I'm from here.
It's a very, very friendly and very personal atmosphere. It's like a big family.
I would recommend the University of Derby because it's so easy to connect with people and it's so easy to get the support, to get the opportunities, and all you have to do is just want.
When you live in your home, you live in your parents, you really can learn how to face the world, and you really to learn how to becoming more independent, becoming more strong.
There's a team of professionals here who will welcome you. They will make you feel like you're in second home. So don't worry, just pack your bags and make a decision and you will enjoy it.
Now, it's safe to say it's one big family here at Derby University. But in the studio, we're going to chat to three people who know all about international student living. And let's kick things off with our first two, both international students, both studying in Derby. Bowen and Sam, welcome to Open Day Live. How are you both?
Yeah, good. Thank you, and you?
Good, thanks, Radzi. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm very well. Let's talk about your names. You've got incredible names. Bowen, what's your full name?
My full name is Bowen Shang in the English language way, and if it's in my country, I'll be named Shang Bowen.
It's a beautiful name. And Sam?
Sam Chikori.
Sam, my dad was from Zimbabwe, so we've got similar surnames. But let's talk about you guys as international students.
Yeah.
What's it like, Sam?
Awesome. It's really good. I've had a lot of great experiences here. Being an international student, meeting a lot of different people from different backgrounds. You know, it's a really melting pot for international students. You know, I've had Chinese flatmates, I've had Indian flatmates, I've had people from Asia, Europe, you know, just a whole mix.
And Bowen, you're from China.
Yeah.
How's your experience been?
Yeah, for my, I've been living in Derby for 3 years and I've met people from around the world, and I'm feeling I'm the most welcome here in Derby, which is so good.
And what made you want to study here specifically?
In Derby, for me, I'm a kind of people who want to stay in a very small town and quiet place, but I still want those nice restaurants, shopping, and parties. So Derby is the location where you go to all the big, nice cities like Birmingham, Manchester, around, but will have the atmosphere of studying and student living in here.
So it's the perfect balance?
Yes, the perfect balance.
And for you, Sam, what was the reason?
First of all, my aunt's in Illumini. So
wow.
she did a master's in 2008, 2009. So she's the one who initially kind of like sold the idea of Derby to me. And then the joint honours option as well, of which she can mix like 2 subjects into one course and kind of tailor that. So that was just a selling point.
And let's talk about the weather. In Zimbabwe, I imagine it's slightly different to Derby.
Oh, definitely different. I mean, I'll tell you a story. I was walking to the bus and I checked the temperature on my phone and it was -2. Up to that point, the only -2 I seen it was on a fridge. So that was quite a change, yeah.
And I've been to Beijing in China. It's quite humid there. How is the weather where you're originally from?
Where I'm from is a bit more northern to Beijing, so it's actually very dry, and we get similar summer here comparing to the UK, so about like 20, 30 degrees summer, but it's dry, and we see a lot of snow, but a lot more than here in the UK,
wow.
But you still got snows, yeah.
In terms of the actual logistics of this, I imagine a lot of people watching this, if they're thinking about travelling to Derby from abroad, they might be thinking about the financial implication. Yeah. Sam, how much of a cost has it been?
It's actually been relatively cheap as a cost as compared to like other cities, because I think, you know, you get the major cities like Birmingham, London, they're quite expensive. So Derby being a smaller city, being more local, it's relatively cheap, and I think it's a good stepping stone as an international student as well. And I think even for international students, if they can, they should look at the scholarship option, of which I was the recipient of one in my first year. So that was a major advantage to my cost of living and tuition as well in my first year. So I think they should really look into that.
We're going to talk about scholarships a little bit later on. And Bowen, in terms of yourself, was it expensive?
No, it's actually very cheap comparing to living in other cities. I've been living in the UK for 8 years, so I think Derby is a very good balance on like food cost and accommodation cost.
Thank you. And just finally, what do you guys pack? Because I've been on a 2-week holiday. I've never had to stay in a country for potentially a year. How do you do that, Bowen?
For me, from like a very Asian perspective, I'd recommend bring a rice cooker.
Rice cooker, nice.
Yeah, but everything else you get it from either online, you got the Chinese supermarket, Oriental supermarket, so you're all well taken care of here in the UK.
So there's sort of a Chinese community here that helps you, I guess, feel at home.
Yes, of course, and of course Chinese restaurants. If you miss the home dish, you got legit ones in Chinatowns.
Thank you, Bert. And Sam, what about yourself?
I'd say try to minimally pack on warm clothes, because they just don't cut it. So, you know, get all your warm clothes. Yeah, pack a flag. You know, pack your identity. I mean, your flag is you.
I love
it's
that.
a piece of home, and just like pictures of yourself. You know, and personal documents. You know, passport, visa, all that kind of stuff.
Well, guys, thank you very much. Now, I mentioned the whole social distancing challenge. So what we're going to now do is bring in Michaela, who's from the international team. So Sam and Bowen, thank you very much. If you'd like to exit our studio, your job for the day is done, and we'll bring in Michaela. So thank you very much, guys.
Thank you for having us.
And so, Michaela, welcome to Open Day Live. How are you?
Thank you. I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm very good. I'd love to talk to you about your role, I guess representing international students.
Absolutely. So in my role, I help students from inquiry to application stage. And it's got to do with anything to do with questions that they have about studying in the UK, or personal statements, references, anything like that. And then to the day that they actually join us. I also work with in-country agent representatives. I advise on entry criteria. And then, up until the day that they're here. And I'm also from Sweden originally, so I came as a European student.
Oh, so you were actually a student at Derby here yourself?
I was, yeah.
And what did you study?
I studied events management.
Amazing. And so I guess your role now is all-encompassing when it comes to international students.
Definitely.
Sam mentioned scholarships. Can you tell us any more about those?
Absolutely. So we have a range of scholarships available for international students, and these are merit-based. We also have some discounts, so great to check out our website for that. And there's no application process involved, but when they have made the application to study, they will be automatically assessed. And also not to forget our fantastic sports scholarships for talented athletes.
Ah, okay. And how much of a scholarship could that potentially be?
It could be a full Vice-Chancellor's tuition fees.
Oh, wow.
Tuition fees. Or it could be something like a Regional Achiever Scholarship, which is about £3,000.
And I won't get too specific, because I know you don't specialise in sports scholarships per se, but do you know what kind of sports they might be?
There are various amounts of performance sports that could vary, but we focus on cycling, volleyball, men's basketball, sports along those lines.
That's interesting. So actually quite a lot of Olympic sports, which is quite, and just to remind ourselves of the details where you can find that online?
Yes, so that's on derby.ac.uk.
Perfect.
And then scholarships.
Now, we spoke a little bit about the cost of studying if you're an international student? I know studying, if I'm a British student going abroad, it can be seen as expensive. What about the reverse?
Okay, so obviously you would factor in the tuition fees and then the cost of living. And we estimate the cost of living to be around 190 to 230 pounds per week, including accommodation, food and socializing. And not to forget that we do have a free university bus shuttle that goes between the campus and the city centre. And so that's always a good thing to remember.
Are there any sort of classic myths that people have? So when you meet people, especially from Europe, and you say, why don't you come to Derby? Are there classic things that people think that you'd almost think, if only people knew this wasn't the case?
I guess when I first arrived, it was things around maybe mentality or culture, etc. And they often told me, well, you're only from Sweden, that's not far away.
It's a long swim.
Yeah, but exactly. But in fact, there's things like salmon bone we're talking about, weather, or I initially studied at a countryside campus that we've had, and it actually snowed a lot there, and I was trying to escape the snow.
Classic. In terms of events and activities, are there things specifically for international students to kind of just welcome them in?
Oh yes, so actually we have an integrated approach that we use together with the other student support services. We do put on specific sessions for international students as well, where they can mingle or drop in sessions for visas, etc. But also things like the fact that accommodation hosts a lot of various events, and they have a free bedding and kitchen pack for international students.
Especially for the boys, that's a good one, because if they're anything like me, they won't be very good at looking after themselves and cleaning their clothes. But in terms of when you graduate, lots of people, say British students, might want to stay in the area that their university was in. A lot of people at Derby do that. Can you do that if you're an international student?
So there's actually a new graduate route opening summer of 2020. So as long as a student has either completed or started a degree by that point, and they hold a Tier 4 student visa, then they will be eligible to apply. And like you say, it's a fantastic way to stay in the area, to get some work experience, and it's definitely worth checking out. And we'll be helping students to look up that route.
The final question is the C word. I don't like saying it too much, but COVID and the pandemic. Is it a safe time to actually come to university at Derby right now?
We've always said that Derby is a safe and great place to study for international students, just like Bowen was just saying about the balance. Totally. And that's really been the case throughout the pandemic too. And the city of Derby has put in a lot of various measures in place, like sanitizers, social distancing, signage, rules around wearing face masks in cafes, shops, in taxis, etc. So we've just welcomed a nice cohort of international students to Derby, and I look forward to meeting many more.
Well, Michaela, it's been a pleasure chatting to you. Thank you so much for your insight. And actually, it goes without saying, in terms of what Michaela was touching on, the world has changed a lot this year. But that shouldn't deter you from considering this special university in the heart of the East Midlands.